So hello again, welcome to the second partial. And as I said earlier, I think that the first partial was more theoretical and conceptual, and now we are going to start with the data collection process. The second partial is mostly about data. So let's start uh, with the first thing that is very important that we need to complete before actually going to the field and collecting the data, which is creating your questionnaire or your survey. It really depends on whether you are doing qualitative or quantitative. I'm going to explain step by step. So uh, why do we care about this? Because we need to make sure that the data is valid and reliable. That means that um, what we want to measure is actually being measured through the questions or through the survey, and also that the instrument that we are using, whether it's an interview or it's a survey, it's actually reliable or valid to use. Like I can give you an example. Like maybe imagine that you want to measure 1 liter of water. So if you want to be reliable and valid about how you measure this quantity of water, 1 liter, you will have to use like a bottle or something, and it has some measures in there. And also you need to trust that that line that says 1 liter is actually real, like it's based on something, like someone already did that before for you. So it's the same in here. If you want to measure the, I don't know, the impact of technology among employees, you need to find an instrument that can help you to measure that. That's why it's super important to have a valid and reliable tool to collect information, because if you just, I don't know, invent a question, or you come up with a question and you go and ask, is that really reliable? It's like if I go back to the example about 1 liter of water. If you want to measure 1 liter of water just by saying, I think that's 1 liter, and you don't actually have like the tools to do it, then you are not sure if that's correct. Imagine that your life depends on measuring 1 liter of water. Will you use like a bottle that says 1 liter, or will you trust your instincts, or I don't know, or whatever you know about measuring water? Of course, you will use the bottle, right? So it's the same in here. You can't just bring a question or bring a survey out of nowhere. You have to base your questionnaire or your survey on reliable and valid sources. So the first, why are we doing this? It's because it's critically important to convince the reader that your data is valid and reliable. Otherwise, it's like it doesn't make any sense, the whole thing. Then some techniques that are really good to achieve validation and reliability is that you can triangulate data. Let me explain you. So imagine that you go on an interview with a CEO, and the CEO says that the main issue in this company while implementing technology is finance, because they don't have enough money. So a finance is a headache, no? So okay, you write that in your notes, and in your in the in your interview you have that, and then you also ask someone else. You maybe ask the CFO. You ask like, which is the main problem when implementing technology? And then if the CFO says that yes, it is technology, or you don't even have to propose that it's finance. You can just ask, what's the problem with the implementation of technology? And if that person says it's finance, then it's good. It's like you are validating your results. If the person says no, it's not finance, or that person doesn't even bring finance to the table, then you can be quite suspicious. Then another way to triangulate these things is if you take a look at documents, or maybe reports from meetings or something like that. So you can ask these guys, like the guys in your companies, like, can you show me like a report or something, or maybe a presentation that you did where you, I don't know, faced or you stated the problems of digital transformation, and then if you see that in a document it says finance is an issue, then that's perfect. You have like 3 different sources mentioning that finance is a problem. Then that makes sense. That's how you build a case. That's how you make sure that what you are saying is valid and reliable. I don't say that this is true, because true, the word true or false, is very subjective. So we don't want to seek the truth, because we are not God or anything like that, or it's not justice or whatever. We want to find reliable information. Maybe finance is not the problem, but they say that is the problem. That's reliable. We don't know if it's true or not. We don't care about that because we want to understand their story, their point of view. What do they, what are they facing every day? So triangulation is very important, and you will have to do this in your case study. Like you will have to interview someone, then interview another person, and then maybe find some documents that can prove the point. And also this is also super important, and we are going to work on this in this class, is that the instrument that you will use, whether it's a questionnaire, whether it's a survey or whatever, it has to be previously used. That means that it's like the case about the bottle of water. If you don't have a bottle of water that has been previously used, or that has been previously designed to measure 1 liter of water, then you can't just say that's a little of water because I know I have some instinct to measure water. That's not true. You need to use a survey or some questions that were previously developed by someone else. So um, I think here I'm going to focus a little bit on qualitative because if you use a qualitative methodology, you are going to use a questionnaire. If you use a quantitative methodology, you're going to use probably a survey, or if you have a database already, which I think is one of the cases from one of the teams, then you don't have to do the survey, you only have to analyze the data. So in qualitative, maybe the most popular way to collect data is what we call semi-structured interviews. Semi-structured interviews are an interview that is based on a questionnaire, but you don't have to follow it exactly. It means that if an interesting topic brings up in the conversation, you can focus on that topic, and um, you can spend 20 minutes talking about that. And then, but it's semi-structured, so you have like a line that you need to follow. You have some questions that you shouldn't forget, but you have the freedom to move a little bit over there. So revising documents, as I said before, are also here it doesn't say, but are also a reliable source of data. So you might ask for some documents, and then you can check if what they said is in the document. So the question about using this, or the objective about this, I think are three things. Convince the reader that your instrument is valid from previous research. Either you are doing a survey or a questionnaire. Make sure that the questionnaire or survey will help you to answer to your research question, because that's another thing that happens. Like maybe you focus too much on finding something that was previously done that you forget about what you are doing. So keep a balance. And finally, this is also super important, like check that you can complete the interviews or surveys on time, because maybe sometimes people, I don't know, design a questionnaire that will be completed in a 4-hour interview, and that doesn't make any sense. Usually interviews take 1 hour in average, so maybe 45 minutes minimum, and an hour and a half max, something like that. But if you are designing a questionnaire that has 30 questions, I think that's too much. Also, if you're designing a survey with 200 questions, I think no one will answer to that. So you need to be very careful with this. So in the next video, I will focus first on the quantitative point of view, and then on the qualitative.